Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling a really remarkable story. It's about the transformation of a country and, the organization that really led the charge. We're diving into BRAC, an organization that, started in the ashes of war and somehow grew into the world's largest NGO.
And it did that by developing what seems like an almost foolproof system for empowering the poor.
It's incredible. And to really get it, you have to picture the starting point. We're talking late 1971. Bangladesh has just won its independence.
But the situation was just catastrophic.
Right. The economy was shattered, infrastructure gone, GDP per capita was something like $134.
It's unimaginable.
And you had 70% of the population living below the poverty line. It was famously and brutally called a bottomless basket case.
It was a crucible of crisis. You had mass illiteracy, rampant disease, and then a devastating famine in '74 just looming.
A colossal challenge.
But, and this is the key, amid all that turmoil, you see this nascent civil society starting to emerge. And at the very forefront was Sir Faisal Hassan Abed.
A true visionary.
Absolutely. He was a corporate executive at Shell Oil, and he just rejected that life. He sold his apartment in London, got a small grant from Oxfam, and in 1972, he founded BRAC.
So our mission today is to break down BRI's engine for success. How did this small relief effort become a global powerhouse? We really want to get into the mechanics of their integrated model.
And how it allowed them to scale solutions that have had this just profound impact on global poverty. And let's start with that origin story, because it really holds the key to their whole ethos, which is constant adaptation.
Okay.
So for the first 3 years, 72 to 75, they were purely focused on immediate relief, helping war refugees in places like Shala.
Building houses, clinics, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Basic houses, repairing infrastructure, setting up clinics. Abed saw it as a temporary measure, to allay the suffering.
But temporary relief, it just bandages the wound, right? It doesn't cure the disease of, entrenched poverty.
Precisely. By 1974, they have this crucial, sobering realization. They're monitoring their work, and they see that while they're helping, the one-off relief efforts, they just aren't creating lasting change.
People were just falling back into the same trap.
As soon as the aid left, yes. So they make this pivotal shift.
The total shift.
They drop the Rehabilitation Assistance Committee and officially become the Bangladesh Rural Advancement Committee, BRAC.
It's not just a name change.
No, it's a mandate change. The new mission is all about poverty alleviation and the empowerment of the poor. And they specifically targeted marginalized women.
Why women in particular?
Because they were often the most overlooked, the most vulnerable, but also the most effective agents for change within the family and the community.
So what was the new guiding principle then?
Abed's core belief became that development isn't about handouts. It's about, and I'm paraphrasing, organizing people around opportunities.
So equipping them.
Exactly. Equipping them with skills, education, health knowledge, and this is critical access to finance, so they could build their own way out.
And this wasn't just a philosophy. From 1975, it becomes their actual strategy, integrated rural development.
Yes, they stopped tackling single problems. Instead, they go into an area and tackle everything at once: agriculture, literacy, health, vocational training.
It's basically systems thinking applied to social change.
And they built a learning engine right into the organization. In 1975, they established their Research and Evaluation Division, or RAD.
That's incredibly early for an NGO to be so focused on data.
It was revolutionary. Their whole model became pilot small, monitor, constantly evaluate the data, adapt, and only then scale up. It made sure they never wasted resources on things that just didn't work.
Okay, so let's unpack that integrated model.
Yeah.
If poverty is a multitude of social problems, the solution has to be multi-pronged. The foundation of this whole system, I believe, was the village organization.
The VO, yes. It was the core of their Credit Plus approach.
How did that work on the ground?
They meticulously targeted the poorest landless households, again, focusing on women. A VO was a group of maybe 30 to 40 women.
And they came together for mutual support.
Mutual support, mandatory savings, and shared training. And to build solidarity, they formed even smaller subgroups, like 6 people. So if one person struggled, the group was incentivized to help them succeed.
That structure is vital. But the real innovation was pairing that with finance. We hear about microfinance, but you called this Credit Plus. What's the plus?
The plus is everything, because they knew that just giving a loan to a poor, uneducated woman, that could be a recipe for failure.
Right. It's not enough.
The plus was integrating the loans with literacy training, health education, and crucially, legal rights awareness.
Ah, so you're not just giving them money, you're giving them the tools to actually use it effectively.
You're de-risking the credit by investing in the person. The training made them better entrepreneurs, more aware of their rights, better at managing money. That's why their repayment rates were around 98%.
98%. Incredible. But even that model couldn't reach everyone. You've got the ultra poor, the bottom 10%, who are just too destitute for even a small loan.
Exactly. They had zero assets. They couldn't commit to repayment. And that gap led to what is maybe BRAC's most profound contribution,
The graduation program.
the ultra-poor graduation program. They recognized these people didn't need a rope. They needed a whole ladder and a big push to get onto that first rung.
So what did that ladder look like? Walk us through it.
It was a very specific sequenced package.
Or first.
First, an asset transfer. A one-time grant of something productive like a cow or some goats, no repayment.
Okay, so they have an asset.
Second, a monthly stipend for about 18 to 24 months so they could actually eat while they focused on the future. Third, and this is maybe the most important part, hands-on training and intensive coaching for 2 years.
So someone is there with them, guiding them.
Constantly. Then you add in health access so they don't get derailed by sickness. And finally, community support through the VOs. After 2 years, they've graduated?
And the data shows this works long-term, right? It wasn't just a temporary boost.
Not at all. The evaluations are rigorous. 7 years after the program ended, women's earnings were up 21%, and their durable assets had increased by 57%.
57%, that's sustainable change.
It is. They graduated 1.9 million households out of ultra-poverty in Bangladesh alone. The model works because it tackles every dimension of deprivation at once.
It's phenomenal. Let's pivot from finance to public health because their ingenuity there was just as massive. In the 70s, diarrheal disease was a huge killer of children.
A massive killer. And BRAC's response was the legendary Oral Therapy Extension Program, or OTEP, in 1980.
The simple salt-sugar-water mix.
The solution was simple, yes. The miracle was the delivery. They had workers go door to door, village by village, teaching 12 to 13 million mothers how to make it.
And it wasn't just a pamphlet.
No, it was performance-based. The mother had to correctly mix the solution in front of the worker. They had to prove they learned it. It was mass health literacy on an unprecedented scale.
And that campaign helped halve the country's infant mortality rate. Just incredible.
And it led directly to their next big health innovation, the Shastia Shubika.
The community health volunteers.
Exactly. Local women, often semi-literate, who get 4 to 6 weeks of basic training. They serve their neighbors, and, this is key, they earn a small income selling low-cost health products.
So it's a self-sustaining model.
It's incentivized. And that network became the last-mile delivery system for health across the entire country.
And you see a parallel approach with their education work. The non-formal primary education program, or NFPE.
Started in '85. And again, it was designed to overcome the specific barriers rural kids faced.
So they didn't just try to build more government schools.
No, they built a different kind of school. One-room schools, flexible hours for kids who had to work, and local female teachers to build trust. Over 60% of the students were girls.
Girls who would have otherwise missed out entirely.
Completely. And this model educated over 14 million children. And get this, they had a 99% pass rate on the official government exams.
Wow. Okay, so all of these amazing innovations, finance, health, education, they all require money. A lot of money. How did BRC scale to a national level without being totally dependent on foreign aid?
This is maybe their most distinctive strategy of all, hybrid financing. They built social enterprises.
So they started businesses.
They realized that dependency on grants was a huge vulnerability, so they decided to generate their own revenue.
What kind of businesses are we talking about?
Things like Aeron, which is a massive handicrafts enterprise, BR Dairy, BR Bank. They filled gaps in the market, but their main purpose was to generate profit to cross-subsidize the social programs.
Was there ever pushback on that? An NGO running a for-profit bank?
That's a great question. The governance was key. The enterprises are run with corporate efficiency, but they are fully owned by the NGO.
So the profits have to go back into the mission.
Their legal mandate is to feed profits back into education and health. For example, BRA Dairy was started because their microcredit clients, who now own cows, needed a market for their milk.
Ah, so it creates a virtuous cycle.
Exactly. The profits from selling dairy in the city would then fund schools in the villages. By the mid-2000s, they were financing 70 to 80% of their entire budget from their own revenues.
70 to 80%. That level of self-sustainability is just...
Yeah.
It's unheard of.
It gave them the freedom and agility to scale across all 64 districts of Bangladesh, covering 70,000 villages.
And that confidence in their model is what allowed them to go global. This wasn't just a story for Bangladesh.
No, it became a Global South success story. They went to post-conflict Afghanistan first in 2002.
A very bold move.
It was a statement that a solution born in Bangladesh could work in other fragile contexts. They quickly became the largest NGO there, running thousands of community schools for girls.
And then they expanded into Africa.
Uganda in 2006, Liberia in 2008. But of course, they had to adapt the model.
Right, it's not one size fits all.
Absolutely not. In West Africa, the focus was more on agriculture. In Uganda, where youth unemployment was a huge issue, they launched these girls' clubs, the ELA clubs. Empowerment and livelihoods for adolescents. They were safe spaces offering life skills, financial literacy, and access to small loans. It was the integrated model,
Yeah.
just adapted for a new generation's challenges.
And their ultra-poor graduation approach? That's been replicated everywhere.
In over 40 countries now, by other NGOs and even governments. It shows just how transferable these solutions can be.
So if we zoom all the way out, what is the final verdict on BRAC's long-term impact?
I mean, their impact is woven into the fabric of Bangladesh's success story. When they started, poverty was over 70%. Today, it's around 20%. Their programs were a primary engine for that.
Directly hitting SDG 1, no poverty, and the impact on women's empowerment, SDG 5, seems just as huge.
It is. With over 90% of their borrowers being women, you see these huge, quantifiable increases in their earning capacity, their mobility, their decision-making power in the home.
And what about health outcomes, SDG 3?
Just as staggering. That network of Shastya Shabikas helped slash under-5 mortality from 240 per thousand in 1970 down to 28 in 2020. And they helped Bangladesh exceed global targets for things like TD control.
So if you had to boil it down, what are the core lessons from BRA's success?
I think there are three. First is systems thinking. They understood poverty was multidimensional and needed an integrated solution.
Right, no silos.
Second, adaptive learning. That research and evaluation division meant they were always learning, always improving. They never scaled something that wasn't proven.
And the third?
Community trust and government partnership. They built programs through local people, not for them. And they were smart about aligning their goals with national priorities, which let them scale up with government support. At the end of the day, BRA's case just fundamentally proves that innovative, scalable solutions can and should come from the Global South. It changes the whole narrative of development.
A truly compelling lesson. Sir Faisal Abed's philosophy was so simple, yet so powerful. Dream of a world free of exploitation and discrimination, and take action to make it happen. Cool. And as you think about the complex challenges we face today with the SDGs, from climate change to, urbanization, it's worth reflecting on BRX's framework, this blend of social mission with corporate efficiency and that relentless commitment to data.
It's a powerful combination.
It is, and it makes you wonder if a country once written off as the world's poorest could invent the model that's now lifting millions out of poverty globally. What limits are we putting on our own potential for social innovation right here, right now? That is definitely something to think about until the next time we take a deep dive.
Thank you for listening to Mission Possible, innovating for the world's most marginalized. This podcast is built on the outstanding work of our students, whose curiosity and commitment drive much of the research and storytelling you hear. Each episode is grounded in academic research and shaped through close collaboration with our partners. To learn more about the research and partnerships behind this podcast, feel free to contact us. Thank you for joining.